And when I said that until that next thing happens, well, the next thing that happens is the crooked Harlan sheriffs get Carl in to see Boyd. And they distract Nelson by telling him that Raylan's in the parking lot and wants to talk to him because, of course, that makes sense. And Nelson goes. Carl gets in, pistol whips the deputy, which he deserved every inch of. That guy's been in the show for a while too. He's been a dirty cop, I think, since season 2. I think he was maybe one of the deputies under Doyle, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah. So so they get him in to see Boyd, and Carl pistol whips the sheriff, turns the gun on Boyd, and then Boyd uses that silver tongue, man, and tells Carl, hey, I'm going to whack it up with you 50-50. Anything I get my hands on, I'll give you 50% of. It's $5 million, son. Let's go. And Carl falls for it. Let's
like Charlie Brown, like ready to kick the football.
That's exactly right. Just straight up falls for it, and pays with his life. By the time, because by the time Nelson realizes he's been had, Boyd's in a sheriff uniform and using his execution of Carl as his cover for his escape. And so that's the end of Carl. Carl doesn't have enough lines for me to put together a good RIP clip for him, but RIP Carl. Even Raylan's very broken up about Carl, and he makes a visit to the hospital because that's what makes him turn around. And actually, I have a clip of that short conversation with Tim here because I think it's fantastic.
Where's Nelson?
Somewhere wishing he wasn't Nelson.
Why ain't he getting him back up?
Everyone's out looking for Ava. The word I got is you're supposed to be headed back to Lexington to face this Vasquez.
Yeah, I was headed back to Lexington. Then I got word Crowder escaped Marshall's custody and reframed my priorities somewhat.
How creepy how excited you seem right now. Not that I am questioning your priorities.
My priorities are straight.
Uh-huh. So you're going to keep cool when I tell you need to follow Art's orders, head back to Lexington.
Give me something here. Point me in a direction, a couple hours.
Well, see, the joke here is that I give you directions back to Lexington, but since you know where
Who
that
is this paperwood here? Is this
business.
Carl? Jesus Christ, man, Carl.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Maybe you should ask him about that when you get back to the office.
Tim, can we stop pretending there's any version of this conversation that ends with me going to the office?
If I help you out, you gonna cut me in on that $10 million?
It's
just fantastic.
It's really good with Tim just basically insisting that he go back to Lexington over and I know it's weird, right? Maybe you can talk to him about it when you get back to the office. Carl, man. But it really, the scene is so good because it shows just how kind of cold-hearted Boyd is here. Entirely devoid of passion, burning every bridge that he can possibly burn to get where he needs to go.
Yeah. Everybody saying Carl in that in the episode reminds me of the one other Carl that I know of, like the Carl from The Walking Dead. You know, the way they pronounce that, it's just like Carl.
Because Andrew Lincoln is like a Welsh or something. And
he's another one of those guys who has an American, who does the American accent like really well,
except for a few words.
Except for every once in a while, like Stringer Bell will also have that. He has the English accent, but
Stringer Bell was fantastic in The Wire, but Dominic West, his character, every now and then. He would just slip right back into his British accent. It was great. So Raylan is not going back to Lexington, which is likely to have consequences. Carl has failed in his mission, so Boon breaks the news to Markham. And Markham says, okay, well, let's get Earl out. And we're going to kill him then, because that's the promise we made. But Raylan, in another case of right place, right time for Raylan, just so happens to stumble across the dirty Harlan sheriffs processing Earl's release and about to deliver him to Markham and instead take him into custody. instead takes Earl into custody himself and makes it clear that he knows that those cops are dirty. Before we move on, though, I did want to go back to one thing that I had forgotten to mention. I was thinking about Art and the marshal's office, and I saw something and I thought to myself, boy, I wonder if this has ever crossed Art's mind. And he hasn't been in the office a whole lot this season, but do you think Art ever looks at that tombstone poster on the wall and goes, man, Avery Markham looks an awful lot like that guy?
That's right.
It's very meta.
Well, it's like that when Superman takes off his glasses, so like Markham has his beard shaved
right.
off.
He doesn't have his mustache.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's the whole point of why they had him take the mustache off. So that they could keep the tombstone poster up on the wall. Man, he looks like Wyatt Earp's brother.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they you know that there's a new Superman and what is it? Superman and Lois on HBO Max. Have you heard of this? It's like I don't know, like it just came on HBO Max, and it's okay, but there's the part where they move back to Smallville, right? Like Lois Lane and Clark.
Okay.
And they have kids. And like in the first episode, it's like he reveals to them, because they're like teenagers and they're trying to get away from like Metropolis and, like get away from all the bad guys or whatever. And there's the scene where he's like trying to tell his kids, hey, these teenagers, hey, I'm Superman. And it's that same thing where he just he takes off his glasses, the Clark Kent glasses, and then it's like, oh, it's Superman. They have the music in the background and all that other stuff.
Thinly veiled disguise. I love
it. Yeah.
Oh my God, Superman. Wait, where'd Superman go? He puts his glasses back on. Where'd he go? He was just here.
So that should be a thing, like every time they have a new Superman, because that they're always going to just like just run that franchise like a reboot every time. So that should just be a meme at this point.
That's one of those characters that'll just never ever go away, even though in my opinion, Superman is one of the worst comic book characters because he's too powerful.
He's OP.
Yeah, he's OP. He's OP. Yeah. It's a lot less fun, right? When you don't have any real weakness, like legitimate sort of like practical weaknesses.
Yeah. It's a tough thing, and it's his only weakness is the kryptonite, and so that's always the thing that always makes it always shows up. Oh, kryptonite. Yeah. No, that's it. Okay. Oh yeah, Superman. Yeah. Okay. Well, what is it? Kryptonite.
My favorite kryptonite is the one in Superman 3 with Richard Pryor, where it makes him like a mean drunk.
I like was it Superman 1 where it was Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor?
Oh yeah, he was in all four of those original Superman movies. He was Lex Luthor.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't remember, because I like my favorite plot line, and still valid, is the nuclear weapons underneath, like igniting them to turn like Nevada into beachfront property.
You're gonna make California break off from the rest of the country.
Yeah, I love that.
That's the one where he flies backwards around the world, right? To reverse time or whatever.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes the world spin backwards. Oh man. Well, I'm sure we're wrong about that, actually. Groundlesspodcast@gmail.com. Come on, nerds.
Yeah, come on, comic book nerd. Show us what you got.
Like we're not the ones who brought up Superman.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we're at the moment. So, in an absolutely masterful scene, Katherine Hale arrives at Win Duffy's motor coach to execute him. And before she does, she makes a little speech, and in that speech, she talks about loyalty and betrayal and avenging your partner. And that causes Mike to ask for lenience and says, hey, look, he's learned his lesson. Let's say we let him go. And Katherine has no patience for it, so she shoots Mike in the torso and turns the gun on Wynn. Mike attacks her. She shoots him several more times in the torso, and there's a continuing struggle. He eventually kills her by breaking her windpipe, and then falls down, bleeds out, but not before he gives Wynn the handcuff key to free himself, and then bleeds out on the floor of the motor coach and dies. And Duffy calls 911, and he's asked what the emergency is, and he says, "I'm not even sure where to start." But the third time we've seen Wynn Duffy's motor coach covered in blood.
That's right.
And Wynn himself covered.
And Wynn himself had at least 3 or 4 times, right?
Yep.
That he's been
well, yeah. I mean, we've got Ned Ryerson in the where Nicky Augustine kills him. We've got Picker in Detroit. We've got the Gary Busey's kid blowing himself up, and now we have Katherine and Mikey. And that's the end of both of them. And so, normally we do a little RIP segment set to a Boys to Men song. But after watching this scene, I was inspired a little bit, and so I have something a little bit different for us today.
This isn't just about some code. You were as close to family as I ever had. I believed in you, Wynn.
Smug little hobbit-looking beaner shitbird who told the jury what a no-account savage my late husband was.
Oh, he'll be right out. He spilled guacamole on his shirt.
9:30 in the morning.
He loves guac.
Grady was my husband. He was my partner. And here's how it works. You protect your partner. And you avenge them against people who do them wrong. That is something I strongly believe.
I don't like that guy. He applexes me.
God damn, Avery Markham. I love you.
Will you hold me?
So R.I.P. to Mike Cosmatopolis and Katherine Hale on the floor of Wynn Duffy's motor coach. I think this is our first double kill, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, where they not trade, but they both kill each other.
Yeah,
is that?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah. This was definitely the most like one of the more graphic bodies, the way the bodies end up. So
there was there's a couple moments during the fight where like there's a scene. I mean, after Mike's been shot in the chest like 4 or 5 times, I lost track of the number of gunshots. He manages to pick Katherine Hale up over his head and slam her down on the table. Yeah. And you can see that there's clearly a stunt person, and it's not Mary Steenburgen being smashed onto the table. But other than that, it was pretty well choreographed and probably pretty intense to film that in such a tight space.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like one of the Austin Powers that they would do the fight scenes and they would that's a man, baby.
That's not your mother, that's a man, baby. Yeah. It does always crack me up when there's a stunt scene and it's a dude in a wig. Like you can tell he's like got a beard or whatever. So ends Katherine Hale, so ends Mikey, and Wynn is a bit shell shocked. We don't know what's going to happen with Wynn just yet, because you have to imagine after Avery finds out he's going to want some vengeance as well. So
do you think that he was the trigger man also,